Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cynthia Veronica and I have two children, Samantha who is 3 years old and Sebastian who is 5 years old, and Sebastian just happens to have achondroplasia, which is the most common form of dwarfism. So welcome to another story time, although this is not my story, it's someone else's, or actually other people's stories. So you may have heard of the TV series Little Women. And the first time I ever heard about Little Women LA was when Sebastian was first born, so about 5 years ago. And honestly, my experience with watching Little Women is probably a little different than most people. I basically just watched it for educational purposes. Since my son was a little person, I really just wanted to learn how to navigate certain social situations. So I actually fast forwarded through a lot of the drama, the screaming, the cat fighting. Honestly, I was just in a different mindset when I was watching the show. So for this particular video, I want to talk about 3 different scenes that were particularly eye-opening for me. So towards the end of season 1, I think it was, of Little Women LA, there's a scene where Tracy is in a restaurant with the other girls. And at one point, Tracy says to the other girls that she thinks about the fact that she's a little person every day and it really bothers her, and she starts to cry in front of the other girls. And so when they initially showed this scene, I thought, great. I was just so excited because I thought, if my son is ever in this situation where he has similar feelings, I'll know what to say. I'll learn from the other girls on how to deal with this situation. So I'm sitting there intently watching, and my eyes are glued to the television, hoping that these women are going to impart some wisdom onto me. Then I hear their response and my heart sinks. One of them says something along the lines of, "You need therapy," and someone else says, "You need more self-confidence." And both of these responses, I just thought, you know, this isn't something that I could ever say to my son. Also, my heart just really hurt for Tracy. I don't know how much truth there is to reality TV, and I'm sure things are different off camera versus on camera, but even so, I just really felt like giving her a hug and just having a heartfelt conversation with her in that moment. So there's also a scene in Little Women LA where Elena finds out that one of her twin sons has dwarfism just like her. So she actually cried when she found out, and she was apparently devastated at the news. And I also watched Little Women Atlanta, where Tanya found out that one or two of her children actually had dwarfism as well, just like her. And she was just devastated at the news. She cried, and you know, the doctor was trying to comfort her and she kind of just brushed it away. So in all of these scenes, I came to the realization that Tracy, Elena, and Tanya, all as confident and beautiful and as appealing as they also seem to see themselves as inferior to their average height counterparts. All of these scenes demonstrate that there is fear and disempowerment around being different. So how can someone have a mind shift so that they actually have healing power and well-being that resonates around them and their children and to others around them as well? Okay, so let's talk about another life tool. This one, let's call it plus, minus, and equals. So the goal is that we want to see our relationships all as equal, whole, and complete. We want acceptance within ourselves and for that to emanate into the universe. And actually, with that in mind, I'm reminded of a monk that actually, I think I learned about this person through Jay Shetty, speaks to everyone in an equal manner. So if he's talking to, you know, a senior political official, or if he's talking to a homeless person, he will address them in the same exact way. He doesn't act differently depending on who the person is. Okay, so in implementing this tool, we start by identifying key people in our lives. And so we ask ourselves a question: do we feel inferior to this person? If so, you put a minus next to that person's name. Do we feel superior to that person? We put a plus next to that person's name. Do we feel equal to that person? We put an equal next to their name. So then wherever we've identified a plus or a minus, these are the relationships that we want to change. And it doesn't mean that the other person changes. There is no need for that. It's really our mindset that needs to change about our relationship with them or towards them. So if we identify ourselves as inferior or superior to someone, how do we change and have a mind shift? How do we put ourselves in an equal relationship with that person? Okay, so let's begin with feelings of inferiority. So when someone behaves in an unhealed way towards me, for instance, if they're laughing at me, if they're making fun of me, it's important to recognize that it's probably likely that they are in pain. They are struggling. People are out there struggling, and we don't even realize. It could also be fear, uneducatedness, or unconsciousness. And whenever I've felt someone else's pain towards me, sometimes I've felt shame. And that shame is what helped me realize that I'm not seeing myself in an equal relationship with them. So I've really had to reflect on that feeling of shame and all the emotions, because doing that was part of my growth and part of my evolution. But I also realized that there had to be a shift. So I wanted to see other people, as my equal, as my brother or sister, and not put them on a pedestal, because that's what I was doing, putting people on a pedestal. So the next time someone says something that is uneducated towards me or my family member, with the intent of causing pain, I see them as my equal. And I recognize that they are acting out of pain, fear, or uneducatedness. So then once I started to see myself in a different relationship with others, it really just became easier to work on my healing, to the point where I became so healed and so accepting of myself and of my family that I wouldn't allow it to disempower me. And it's a process, of course. So in these moments, for me, every part of my being will focus on these feelings in these moments. In these moments, it's just so important to be present and not be affected by other people's pain point, because that's their pain. We can't let it disempower us. So on the flip side, I had to learn not to pity someone, because when I'm pitying someone, I'm putting myself in a superior relationship to them, not an equal relationship. So for instance, how would I see someone that's in a wheelchair? How can I describe them in a way that is an equal relationship? I could say, there goes a friend down the street. And who's to say that my life is better than theirs? In fact, this person in a wheelchair can have a much better life than me. Feeling superior is not being aware, and it's not being conscious. So going back to Little Women LA, I just really love Terra's response to learning that her son had dwarfism. I really think it's such a beautiful and accepting response. So allow yourself to heal around your pain point and understand that other people have their own pain points. Everyone is walking around with their pain points. And once we recognize this, we can start to shift our mindset. We can use the plus minus equals tool to allow ourselves to feel whole, to allow ourselves to feel complete, and acceptance and love and empathy. So there is so much more to share on this tool, but I'm gonna have to save that for a different video because I've been talking for about an hour now. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.